Would you like to say a few words before we begin?
Good morning. I'm Michelle Money Carson, or as my new friends from East Monty's class call me, Miss Michelle. And I'm with AT&T, and I'm going to be really brief, but I just want to thank Carrollwood Day School for having us here today and echo what Mr. Kelly said. It's really, once you see what you're about to see, it's really unbelievable that any group of students, much less fifth graders, have put together what they have and raised the awareness on the dangers of texting and driving like they have. Clearly, AT&T is behind this 100%. How many of you have heard of the It Can Wait campaign? You're going to be hearing lots more today about it. So again, thanks so much for having us here. And one last thing I want to add, I know that Mrs. Monty's class is very well aware of it, but something that we've all had our eyes on over the last couple of years, but definitely a couple months, is that we're really excited that if the governor cooperates, in just a few days or weeks, texting while driving will now be against the law because it did pass last week. So we're very excited. What we're able to do, but we're excited that this law passed, not just for your own safety, but anybody younger than you that's going to be coming up and driving. So again, thanks so much for having us here and enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Michelle. The central idea Mrs. Monty's class developed for our exhibition is people's behavior and the way they communicate may impact others.
Our lines of inquiry include types of distractions, impact of distracted driving, and ways to teach others about the dangers. Throughout our exhibition study, we learned we are losing so many lives as a result of this terrible epidemic known as distracted driving, most notably texting while driving.
Through our study, we have learned so many facts and statistics.
Most importantly, though, we have learned more than just facts and statistics. We actually have learned far more than that.
We have learned that these statistics are more than just statistics. These statistics have faces, and these faces have families and friends whose lives have been impacted by the actions of distracted drivers.
We have learned the heartbreaking stories of these many faces, families, and friends.
We have learned beyond a shadow of a doubt that no text or cell phone call is worth a life.
Please listen as we share the heartbreak experienced by these families and friends of these precious lives that have been cut entirely too short as a result of distracted drivers.
Their lives were changed in the blink of an eye.
Cassie was just 18 on the day she died. No one would have ever thought she'd be a suicide. The precious pictures we just displayed are only a few of the thousands of lives we continue to lose each year as a result of distracted driving.
Ending this epidemic begins with you and me. Please decide with us today that you will never use a cell phone while driving for any reason.
Please put your phone on the seat and keep your eyes on the street.
Texting while driving is a dangerous epidemic that must end.
Did you know
That just one word or just a couple of letters could change it all?
In the blink of an eye? Dear Mom and Dad, please put the phone down. I want a hug from you tonight. I want you to see me grow up and have a family.
Dear family, I don't want to lose you because of a simple text message. You are far too important. I want to go to bed each night knowing that you are safe.
Dear sibling, I want to have a playmate. I want to see you successful when we grow up.
Dear elementary students, please make the decision now to never text while driving because no text is worth it. Please tell your parents to never text while they drive.
Dear middle school students, please make the decision now that you will never text while driving.
Dear high school students, we want to see you graduate and come back to visit us as successful college graduates.
Dear teachers, I want you to teach your class tomorrow. I want to learn tomorrow.
Dear principals and headmasters, I want to see you at school every morning making the important decisions that benefit our education.
Dear friends, please do not put me in danger by texting while you drive, and I promise I will not put you in danger by texting while I drive. No text is worth our lives.
Dear world, please just put the phone down and drive.
Please put your phone on the seat and keep your eyes on the street. No text is worth our lives. No life is worth losing over a simple text message or phone call. These can absolutely wait.
At this time, we would like to introduce a very special guest.
We had the privilege of meeting him 2 weeks ago when he came to our classroom to share Allie's story with us. This is the picture of his beautiful 17-year-old daughter, Allie, who was lost as a result of a distracted driver.
Please join us in extending a warm welcome to Mr. Steve Augello, Allie's dad, as he shares her story with us.
Good morning. I want to thank everybody for inviting me today to do a talk. My name is Steve Augello, and as you can see, this was my daughter, Alessandra. We called her Allie. She was a 17-year-old high school student that went to Bishop McLaughlin Catholic High School. And on November 10th, 2008, she was on her way home from school and was hit head-on by a 19-year-old girl who was texting and driving. She was an aspiring journalist and photographer and was accepted to go to St. Leo College. And she was really excited about going to school and becoming a journalist. When the day it happened, she had called me. It was about 7:05 p.m. and she was leaving play practice. We had a rule in my house that you weren't allowed to use a cell phone while you're in your car. So before she started the car, she called me and put her cell phone away and left the school parking lot. After a half hour, I was worried that she wasn't home yet because it only took 20 minutes to get home from her school. So I had contacted my wife and she came to pick me up because Allie had my car, and we backtracked looking for Allie. We got to a certain point on Hudson Avenue, and I saw flashing blue lights. And the first thing I thought of was maybe she was stuck behind an accident. Little did I know, when I pulled up to the scene, they had the road blocked. And I pulled off the shoulder of the road, got out of my vehicle, and the sheriff's deputy told me to stop. And I told him I was looking for my daughter, and he asked me for ID. When I handed him his driver's license, I seen his head go down, and I knew it wasn't good. As I started to walk behind him, he told me I couldn't go any further. So they had a tailgate from a pickup truck. He made me sit on the tailgate. A few minutes later, he came back to me and he said to me that, "Sir, I'm sorry, but your daughter was killed." And at that point, I said to him, "What am I going to tell my wife?" Not knowing that she stepped out of the vehicle and heard me say that. Well, that was the beginning of the rest of our lives. My son was 9 years old when he lost his sister. And I know a lot of you kids from the 5th grade are a little bit older than that, but how would you feel if you lost a sibling because of somebody texting and driving? I do not have the chance now to see my daughter graduate college, to see my daughter get married, to see my daughter have a child. Those things are a thing of the past. That's not going to happen for me. So I just got one thing to say. There's nothing that important. It can wait. Please don't text and drive. And please, if you're in a vehicle with somebody who is texting and driving, tell them to pull over, because your life is worth more than a few little words. Thank you all for letting me tell my story.
Thank you, Mr. Agella, for sharing Allie's story with us. It has been an honor to have you join us here today.
We have the honor and privilege of having 2 law enforcement officers with us today to share the dangers of distracted driving from their perspective. As the daughter of a retired police chief, Mrs. Monty has impressed upon us the importance of their role and the risk they willingly experience protecting and serving us on a daily basis.
We are honored to have Assistant Chief John Newman from the Tampa Police Department joining us today. Please join us in extending a warm welcome as Assistant Chief Newman shares a few words with us.
Good morning. I have 2 daughters, went to school here in Hillsborough County, and now they're both teachers, and my wife is a teacher as well. And there are some certainties that you all will go through, especially the folks that are a little bit older in the room today. One, you're going to drive. And as a parent, just the fact that we give our daughters and our sons keys to a car keeps you up at night. You always worry about it. And 2, in today's digital society, you're going to have a cell phone. You're going to have some sort of device that your parents are going to want you to communicate. When I grew up, you showed up somewhere and someone said, "Hey, your mom was trying to get a hold of you." It took me almost 2 years to learn how to text. I'm horrible at it. So it can wait for me forever. I think some of us adults in the room would like to take our cell phones and skip them across a pond because we're way too accessible. But for you young folks, it's a behavior that you've grown up with. iPads, Kindles, droids, all those things, they were a foreign language when I was 15. It didn't make any sense to me. I didn't have any type of relevance like you do with today's digital world. So you're going to go around, your parents are going to give you a cell phone or some sort of smartphone device, and they're going to expect you to check in. And you're going to have certain rules with those devices. Both my daughters have the same rules as Mr. Augella's daughter. Put the darn thing in your purse, don't take it out till you get somewhere. And they follow that. When I go out to high schools and I see young people involved in click it and ticket campaigns and it can wait campaigns, it makes me feel good because you, your peers, all the folks that you're going to influence understand how important it is. But then every day I go to work and I sit on the interstate and I watch people with their head down and I know they're not sleeping. Or I watch a light turn green and it stays green for 2 cycles and the car hasn't moved. Or I see a car go back and forth from one lane to the next. And I know they're not DUI. I know they're distracted. And then I get up alongside those people who are extremely selfish, because I share the road with them, and they're all walks of life. They're not just young people like you. They're people my age. They're the moms that are rushing from one place to the other, the dad that has to get to a business meeting. You name it, those folks are texting. And I will roll down my window and I tell them how selfish they are. Well, as of last week, I don't have to roll down my window anymore. I'll just pull them over. But you know something? You all know somebody or have probably seen a person out there that isn't a very good driver. Maybe they speed a lot. Sometimes tickets aren't the answer either. What you're really trying to do is change the behavior. And that behavior, that change starts with what you're all doing this week, what Ms. Monty's class has done, and what I see with high school students and middle school age students all the time. It starts with you. It starts with you telling somebody, I don't appreciate it. My life is worth more than the letter K or TY. There is absolutely nothing that is so urgent that you're going to have to take care of while you're doing 40 miles an hour down Bears Avenue. There's nothing more important in your life. Not what you're doing for dinner, not what movie you're seeing, not what guy likes what girl likes what guy, what homework assignment is due. Sorry, teachers. Nothing is that important that you're going to risk somebody else's life. It makes me feel good when I see people your age take such great investment in this type of campaign. But it doesn't end now. Really, it just begins. It begins when you hit that door and you leave here today and you tell all your friends and your family members, this is what we did. We made a difference. And then you start getting that tipping point. You share that campaign with people that might not know what's going on. And you tell them how you feel. And you save somebody's life. So I really appreciate coming out here. I think it's a great thing, but it's just the beginning. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are honored to have you as one of our special guests.
We're privileged to have Corporal Timothy Craig from the Hillsborough Sheriff's Department with us today. Please join us in giving him a warm welcome as he shares a few words with us.
Good morning. I want to thank Ms. Monty's class for inviting me to this. This was tremendous today. It's a huge message that needs to get out to basically every school in the United States. Like the assistant chief was saying, I grew up in the same age where we didn't have cell phones. We used a quarter to make a call when we got somewhere. It's kind of interesting, but just so you know my background, I do work for the district that covers your school. I deal with the guys that enforce the laws that are traffic related. And this has gone back quite a while, but as far as crashes, I've worked crashes with kids your age. That actually the one that sticks out is a kid that actually was texting back to somebody before he flipped his car that to leave him alone, he was driving, but he didn't take the time just to ignore it. So the message that gets out with these 5th graders right now to you guys that are going to start driving, and I'm sure some of you are already driving, it's huge. You don't understand from our point of view how hard it is, even for us. This message that was provided to you today with Steve and everybody else, with kids that have been killed, imagine on the other side with us, we deal with it on a day-to-day basis, and for law enforcement, it's huge. The primary thing with the distracted driving, and then now this new legislation that's passed, it's a step in the right direction. There's still many more steps. Just the use of the cell phone besides the texting is huge. Obviously texting takes a little more, but even driving down the road. Guys, we've been given tickets to this effect in other ways because, as much as some people may think that cops aren't as smart as, a doctor or something like that, but I've written thousands of tickets for careless driving because I've seen people, driving down the road doing stuff like that. Like you see the DUI thing that they say driving and texting or driving and using a cell phone is just as bad as driving under the influence. It's so true because we sit down, we drive down the road and we see the person that's all over the road and we stop them and we think they may be under the influence, but it's no, I was texting or no, I was on the cell phone, And, to imagine going through losing a child or losing anybody to that, flip it over and imagine yourself driving down the road and you're the one that kills that person. And I think that message needs to be pretty strong. I mean, the fact that you're going to have somebody in your car. So my big thing is obviously the signature that you're going to obviously hopefully make to make that commitment to not drive and text is huge. But at the same time, I implore you as a passenger in a car to stand up and say, I'm not going to ride in the car with you if you're texting or you're on the cell phone. Because you might be that person that ends up killed or seeing somebody in that car killed. So I applaud Mrs. Monte's class for what they've done here today. It's very impressive. So thank you for the time.
Corporal Dredd, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a privilege to have you with us.
We are thrilled to have Representative Doug Holder with us today. We would love if you would say a few words.
Good morning. It's nice to be back here. Steve, good to see you again. Thank you for sharing your story. Assistant Chief, thank you for your message. Corporal, thank you for your message. The students here, Ms. Monte, AT&T for having such a great campaign. It can wait. It's certainly very important for us to be able to get the message out as far as how dangerous texting is while you're driving. 5 years ago, I was home from Tallahassee and I was just watching the news with my wife. And there was a story that was not unlike the story that Steve shared with us today. But this was in New York, and there were 5 students that just graduated from high school. They were all 5 texting, they ran into another vehicle, and all 5 unfortunately died. Well, I've been in politics for quite some time, and my wife doesn't get very involved in the things that we do in Tallahassee, but this time she said, Doug, if there's one thing that you can do, you could work on trying to pass legislation that would ban texting while driving. Well, five years we've been working on that. And I'm glad to say that the last time that I was here, we talked a little bit about the dangers of texting while driving, but I also told the 5th grade about a bill that we'd been trying to pass and that it was being presented again this year. Well, just 4 days ago, we passed that law. It is now sitting on the governor's desk. I have every reason to believe that he will sign it, and it will now be illegal in the state of Florida to text while you drive. That in itself, I think, will go a very long way because the whole purpose of this is to be able to empower our parents and our driver's ed teachers to tell their children and their students that texting while driving not only is inappropriate behavior behind the wheel, but now is illegal in the state of Florida. There are a lot of people to thank as far as how far we've gone by getting this bill passed. But I think one of the most important things that you should know that has not been talked about very much in the press is that we work on a budget. One thing that we have to do in Tallahassee every year is to balance our state's budget. Your parents pay taxes, those taxes go into a big pot, and that money is spent building roads, getting messages out. And one of the things that we did in the DOT budget, or the Department of Highway Safety, is we put $1 million into a fund to be able to send the message out, to be able to do a PSA, just like what we are seeing today, that you guys, or the 5th grade, has prepared for us today, to get that message out that texting while driving is illegal in Florida. Excuse me. So, as long as the governor signs both of these pieces of legislation, not only will we have made texting while driving illegal, but we'll also be able to get that message out through the television and through the radio. And just so you know, I'll just give you one statistic that I think is probably the most compelling statistic of all. If you text while you drive, you are 23 times more likely to have an accident. So please listen to that. Please listen to your driver's ed teachers, listen to your parents, listen to your teachers, and do what's right. Don't put other people in danger, and don't put yourself in danger. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today.
Thank you, Representative Holder. Mr. Kelly and Mrs. St. John, we appreciate you allowing the high school to join us for the important event as we experience the AT&T Chair Simulator. We know you have an extremely busy schedule.
Ms. Michelle and Mr. Hall, we thank you and AT&T for taking a chance with the 5th grade class, allowing us to experience your wheel and pedal simulator back in February.
Without you, we never could have experienced how dangerous it really is to text while driving. Thank you all again for joining us today. You each have helped us raise awareness of the dangers of distracted driving.
At this time, we would like to begin experiencing the simulator. So we would like to turn this program over to Ms. Michelle Moneyperson.
Wow, I think that was pretty hard hitting. Thank you again. Classes accomplished in a semester what it's taken AT&T a couple years to really get rolling. So we're really proud of you. And what we're going to do today, for the remainder of the day, actually, we have our chair simulator. Has anyone ever had the opportunity to drive a texting while driving simulator? We have a car, and we have a chair, which is very much like a video game, so you guys should get it kind of quickly. And then we have a wheel and pedal, which is like just playing a video game at your computer. And basically what's going to happen, and our team who runs the simulator is going to kind of walk you through it, but it's really going to give you a very real life experience of trying to hold your phone and drive at the same time. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get everybody organized and start going through. We'll have some other things back there that you can pick up, but we'd also like to give some of the adults an opportunity to drive the simulator, because as we know, our message is very much targeted to teens. But recently, AT&T learned in a survey that we commissioned that 49% of commuters, of drivers, adult drivers, admit to texting while driving. In the teens, it was 43%. So this message is not just for you. This message is for you to go home, tell your parents, tell your grandparents, I know you're texting and driving and you need to stop. So at this time, we're going to, Mrs. Monty, just we can start lining people up to try the simulator, but I know that a lot of folks have schedules, so if you're an adult who has something else to go and do, please head on back and we can definitely get you in there first. Again, thanks so much for coming to see us.